All right, folks, let's try to answer a question. And that question is the survivalist specialization any good? Now, I asked myself this question and I started to unlock the perks that are actually associated with this specialization and I've started to test it out. And I will say, in light of the demolitionist and the sharpshooter, this specialization actually holds its own. Now, it may not seem impressive from the onset, but you have to have a specific need to want to use it. But there are a few draws that actually, I would say, bring people to using the survivalist specialization because right now, a lot of people will swear that the sharpshooter is one of the better ones. And I would, vouch for the demolitionist is actually a very good specialization. But here, the surprise actually was very pleasant. Now, my sharpshooter, I admit that I have not upgraded it, and I remember making a video talking about which is the best specialization, and I said, in my opinion, based on the specialization weapon, that the demolitionist is the best. Since then, I've started to do some more testing, and I think my opinion is actually changing, and it's not just changing because of preference, it's changing because the evidence is actually there and slightly pushing against what I actually agreed upon. And a lot of people asked me and said, hey, how about these two perks? One of them, which is the headshot, the sharpshooter headshot damage talent and the reload speed. These make a big difference. And yes, they do make a big difference. So if I come to this conclusion when I've upgraded and I prefer this talent, then I'll definitely be upgrading this and actually letting you guys know how I feel about it in another video. So please bear with me as I make my way through each specialization. So let's answer the question here today. Is the survivalist actually any good? And based on what I've seen, I can say yes, it's a very decent, actually much more than decent specialization to run. And I actually love it. The reason I do is because of its crossbow. And compared to the M32A1, which is the grenade launcher, the multi-shot grenade launcher, this has a higher rate of fire. So I judge the DPS based on that. But because this one you have to reload a crossbow every time, I just somehow brushed it aside saying, well, you have to add one bolt at a time. But there are so many things that actually come with this build and this bolt that I would say, man, this is definitely one of the specializations I feel like I'm just going to run through the end of the game. For some strange reason, it's just what it is. So let's look at the talents so far that I've actually unlocked on the tree. I've gone ahead to take the full 15% weapon damage for the shotgun and for the assault rifle. I've taken the group perks, which are my tactical links. This gives my members of my group 10% damage to targets with status effects. This is my scraping by talent, which allows me to gain 5 ammo per second on my current weapon while I'm doing a cover-to-cover move in combat. Very, very good perk. I mean, it's ridiculous how it actually works. This one gives me a 10% skill cooldown reduction while also in cover, and so it's very good. And I've also taken the distributed repair where my armor kits now repair over 5 seconds instead of instantly, but also applied to group members within 10 meters. So this is very good for me. And then I've taken some extra protection from Elite and the incendiary grenade, and I'm now upgrading the triage specialist, which is my 5% increase in my outgoing healing to my group. And so these are the perks that I've taken, and I'm almost done with my specialization weapon in regard to upgrading it to the full damage capabilities based on this tree. I have not touched this Mender Seeker mine. I tried to use it the other day. I didn't know what was going on. Maybe there's a way it works that I have not necessarily paid attention to, but I have my chem launcher and that's good enough for me. And I take with me a turret, or in some cases, I'll take my Firefly thingy. I really enjoy using that stupid thing. I don't know why. I just think it's quirky. Okay. So let's look at my items that I have, and I've tried my best to build this as a traditionalist build. And so this build is trying to stay true to what the survivalist is actually providing me. I don't want to leave any damage on the table while using this build. And so it's a little difficult to try to use a shotgun, but I do have a shotgun. I was fortunate enough to find an SPAS 12, which I picked up in the dark zone. And so it's the only one I have. It doesn't have the greatest talents, but so far I think it's doing a good job. Breadbasket says landing body shots adds a stack of bonus 5% headshot damage to the next headshot for 10 seconds. The max stack is 10. So if I hit a bunch of body shots and then I land a headshot, it does some really severe damage. The thing I've noticed though is these NPCs are programmed to be very, very wobbly. They never want to stay still. And using a mouse and a keyboard, it's not too pleasant for me. But hey, I'm going to suck it up and I'm going to keep, playing with it. But I've noticed that there's a lot of damage output with it. Now, I played a lot in groups and the group scaling is ridiculous. So I never really felt the impact. But once I was on my own, I found out that I was dealing a lot more damage than I actually perceived I was in group play. So the thing does some good damage. Now, my assault rifle here, I'm running strained, which is a 10% critical hit damage for every 5% of my armor that's depleted. And then I get Allegro, and then I get rooted. Now, strained is actually pretty much a better talent on an SMG. So I think I'll probably be looking for a way to get something like Optimist. Weapon damage is increased by 3% for every 10% ammo missing from the magazine. I just got this ACR just this evening, and so that's why I have not made that change, because this ACR looks like it needs to be rolled off to somebody like this and make this a very powerful weapon if they are compatible, which I think they are. They need firearms talents, so I think it'll roll. So that gives me a buff on my items. I'm going to show you my mods. Now, the SPAS, I don't have a lot of mods for it. The only mod that I have is a magazine that reduces my headshot damage significantly, and I am not touching that. So I'm just running it raw at a damage of 136.7 thousand damage with all the perks and all the extras that I have. And then in my weapon mods, I'm running the red dot sight, which gives me 20% stability. I lose about 30% optimal range, but the trade-off is not even anything to think about, because the stability, which somebody online told me, somebody said this on my comment section and said, add stability to your P416. I don't remember who you are, but please remind me in the comment section. I just want to say thank you so much. Look at my stability. It's sitting at almost 100%. This weapon is a laser beam when it's doing all the stability. Now, I have some accuracy. I have about 10% accuracy from this mod, which just adds to my accuracy a little bit. And then here, I took more stability and negative accuracy, and I don't regret it. I mean, just from the use, you'll see how tight this weapon actually fires when you have a lot of stability with it. And then for my magazine, I have the 30-round magazine that reduces my RPM, but lower RPM equals better accuracy, because your weapon is not firing too fast. A little bit slower, you're able to land a little bit of your shots. But Allegro comes in here and compensates for me, so I'm still getting the base 750 RPM, so no problem. Rooted helps me. It says, while equipped and in cover, skill damage and healing is increased by 25% for 10 seconds. Buff is lost when exiting cover. Can occur once per 25 seconds. Very decent talent. Can come all over and over and over again. So on my sidearm, I have Wascally. Ideally, I prefer to run stop, drop, and roll because there's just a lot more fire to deal with in different enemy camps and enemy factions. And so I think I prefer running stop, drop, and roll. But I'm running Wascally because I think the last time I was dealing with the True Sons, and they have that ensnare thing from their spray foam nonsense. Now, regarding my gear, like I said, I've tried my best to stick with the traditionalist style build of the Survivalist specialization. And so here is my mask. I have a China Light Industries Corporation mask, which gives me 10% explosive damage. Now, this explosive damage actually goes to my specialization weapon, and I'll show you how this actually ties in. And then two pieces of it, which my knee pads, which has the destructive talent, which gives me 20% explosive damage, grants me an extra 10% shotgun damage for having two pieces. Then I have Fenris, which Fenris is just almost perfect. Do you see how it's actually working? Fenris is actually designed for the Survivalist, which is crazy. It gives me an extra 10% assault rifle damage for running one piece. And then when I run 2 pieces, I get 10% protection from elite. Now, how does protection from elite actually scale? I still am investigating. I'm going to try my best to stack as much of it and then go stand in front of an elite and have them punch me and see if I actually go down. Maybe that's part of what the protection actually does, or maybe also from elite damage and all of that. So I still need to investigate. But I used 2 pieces not because I wanted to run extra protection from elite, but because I have a unique talent that I found recently that's actually worked with my playstyle. Kind of reminds me of Lone Star a little bit. And this is the talent Bloodlust. Its attribute actually says swapping weapons within 3 seconds of a kill grants 25% weapon damage for 10 seconds. So I've learned how this actually works. If I take out an NPC, I see this Bloodlust icon show up. It's one of my perks, and then a timer starts to count down. Once I swap my weapons after that kill, then the weapon that's in my hand automatically gains an extra 25% damage for 10 seconds. Now, it's very situational in a sense, but when it actually clicks, in a sense, when you just, do it on purpose, you just have a kill and switch your weapon immediately. It's actually very good once that happens. Now, the bummer is that if you have a kill with like your assault rifle from long range, well, if you swap to your shotgun, it's not really going to do much for you. So that's where the downer is. But if you're doing some really close quarters combat and you take out some NPCs, sometimes I don't care what the range is. Usually I'll just bring out the shotgun and just use it anyways, because I get my stagger mechanic from it too. It staggers faster than a lot of other weapons. The LMGs and the high damage weapons also stagger. I think it's depending on how much damage you put on the NPC that causes it to stagger. And so that's why I have 2 Fenris here, which is granting me that as well. For my backpack, I have explosive damage, just with destructive, and I also have Safeguard. Safeguard helps me with my armor repair. Now, I told you before that this explosive damage actually works toward our specialization, and I'll show you that here in a bit. And on my gloves, I'm using Wicked. Wicked grants me 10% weapon damage to status affected enemies. It's very, very good. And so I have like all this damage that's just built into my gear so far. And regarding my gear mods, I have not done a lot of modding because I have to be very cautious of I want my Safeguard talent to actually proc. And so I had to come to a point where all I'm using are my electronics mods, which are utility mods, and they grant me a little bit more skill power, some more grenade damage, and increased kill XP. Now, a lot of people, I don't know if they're running increased kill XP, but increased kill XP is actually very good to get those field proficiency caches in order for you to be able to get specialization points as you're running whatever mission you're running. So it's been actually nice to actually get every single specialization points from doing missions and doing activities, bounties and all of that, rather than trying to run the level 30 racket or something. It does that's a thing that people do, but that's fine too. But I just enjoy getting it the slow and steady way and all of that good stuff. Now, why am I running destructive on these 2 items? How is it benefiting me? Because I actually had to ask myself the question. I could just roll damage to elites to these 2 items and I'll still be fine. They'll give me a very good amount of damage. But I don't want to depend too much on damage to elites. Even though I enjoy damage to elites, I'm a strong PvE player. And some people may say, well, you don't get a lot of elites in, solo missions. This is true. But when I play group a lot, I'm a big group guy. And today I met one of my guys, Intense Gaming. We didn't even know we were in each other's group. That's to show how very little we pay attention to that. We matchmade and we just randomly, we're in each other's group and we're friends here. And so with that, something like damage to elites actually works a lot better for me. But I decided to take this because it actually helps my signature weapon. So let me switch my backpack out and let's look at my let's switch this. And let's look at our signature weapons overall damage, okay? So here, as a signature weapon, specialization weapon, forgive me. It says I have 470.9 thousand damage. Now let's change and add 20% explosive damage to and see if it changes. It absolutely changes to 510.3 thousand base damage. And now let's add this extra 20%, which I don't really know if there's a cap, but hey, let's see what happens. And it changes to 550,000 damage. Now, with the damage that comes from this bolt, It's an explosive bolt, but it also burns the target. And that's very, very vital because most of these NPCs, these elite NPCs, once you hit them with this bolt, they not only just receive an explosion, but they now stay in burning status. And when they're in burning status, it's easy for them to just stay a little bit put for the entire team to deal more damage to them. I'm playing Survivalist not as a solo player. If I was doing a solo player build, guys, this is going to look very differently. I'm going to be running maybe clutch here for my assault rifle. I probably will not be using much of the shotgun, but it will just be basically my assault rifle. And then when my shotgun is in play, it's for close targets, people that are maybe NPCs that are trying to gain ground on me. And so this is how I'm running my survivalist build. For my skills, I'm running the cam launcher and I'm running a turret, and it's basically in group play. It's supposed to be a support build that actually enhances my team's advantage, and so this is how I'm running it. So I'm not necessarily upfront dealing a lot of DPS, but whenever enemies come close, then they feel that stagger. Like when we get rushed, I switch to my shotgun and I pump out a few lead pellets, and these NPCs, they stagger and sometimes they run away. They see that shotgun and they disappear because it does a huge amount of damage. And so this is one of the things that I will put out there for you guys. And I want you guys to actually critique this build to the ground. Like everything that you think I'm missing that I could get better. Did I even tell you about my chest piece? I'm sorry. It's got berserk and damage to elites. That's all. Headshot damage, weapon damage. Yay. Thank you. Bye. And then, you know, some other things that it has as well. SMG damage isn't supposed to be here. And you may be wondering why I also took... Oh, I didn't explain that. Sorry. I took the Irali holdings because I wanted a little bit more accuracy. Because I wanted to see how much accuracy would affect the shotgun. And so based on that, this shotgun actually is okay. Its reticle does not necessarily shrink as much after 10% extra damage. And so I've also tried the ACS 12, which is actually very, in a sense, the accuracy starts to actually, the reticle starts to shrink over time and it gets more accurate, but it's so unstable. I don't like it for this build, actually. If I can get some more stability going, then I think it'll probably maybe work out. I'll just run two of them just to have a shotgun build just for the kicks, but it doesn't deal as much damage for me to justify it. I mean, maybe I'm just not really great at building it. And so somebody in the comment section, please give your boy some pointers and let me know areas how I can develop a build for the survivalist. So reaching out to all the survivalist people out there, and those of you who are interested in the survivalist class specialization, please leave comments in the comment section, and so I can start, you know, gathering different variations and different builds on how to do a very good survivalist build. So this is mine, so please share yours in the comment section. Thank you once again for your time and audience. I appreciate you guys' participation, and I guess I'll see you in the next video. Hopefully I get some better gear, and if I get better gear, I'm just going to leave some pictures on the community page here on the channel, just kind of telling you guys how much progress I'm making. And then I just wanted to quickly put out, for those of you who wanted me to run some gameplay with my Firefly build, I have not forgotten. I heard and I read your comments, and I'm going to put that build back together, and I'm going to run some gameplay so that you can see how well it actually works. Now, I will improve the build from some things that I've learned since I last made that build video. And so whatever variation of the build I actually run, I'm going to show you guys where the differences are. All right. I'm going to get out of here, and I guess I'll see you in my next video. Peace.